The most critical aspect of speed reading is not the reading or the speed itself, it's the comprehension and understanding you get from it. Any video worth your limited time or course worth your precious money needs to focus the most on increasing your comprehension and thinking skills. Professors grade you higher and jobs pay you more for what you know, not how fast your eyes move. If your goal is to read faster, to get smarter, achieve better grades, teach students learning techniques, or learn a new skill or body of knowledge, this ad will help you more than the video you were about to watch. Most speed reading courses rely on outdated techniques based on the original speed reading course created by Evelyn Woods way back in the 1970s. All they talk about to help you read faster are using an eye guide, like a finger or a pen, using the 5 W's, reviewing, previewing, reading and skimming, note taking and mind maps, space learnings, all of the things that have no direct impact on what goes on between your ears. None of them talk about what the computing revolution and breakthroughs in neuroscience over the last 60 years has taught us about storing, processing, and retrieving information in general and in our minds and brains. And to be specific, clear, and audacious, most of the videos you watch and courses you buy are rehashed versions of each other with little difference between them and very little new information since 1996 when I took my original in-person speed reading course during my freshman year of college. The question isn't whether I doubled my reading speed. I did, by the way. The question you should ask is, what did I do after that? What did I do after that? I'm glad you asked. I read everything. I would read the syllabus at the beginning of each class, go find the books, and look in the bibliographies of all of those books that were assigned, and then read 3 or 4 of the books in the bibliographies of each book in each class before I read the book for class. Then I would argue with the teacher and quote those books in addition to the material we were assigned. I was not your favorite classmate, but I was our professor's most interesting student. I'd spend all my money in used bookstores in every city that I lived in when I wasn't spending my money on bookfinder.com. And I'd become familiar with all of the librarians, as I was one of the only people using interlibrary loan at all, and on a weekly basis at that. This was before Goodreads came out, so that site only had about 300 books I read. And 300 would be way higher had I not stopped reading for a decade to think and integrate everything I've read. Thinking. I mean, getting married and raising kids had a bit to do with that too. Now, the most relevant and important thing I studied was consciousness, the brain, the mind, education, and therapy. And I used what I learned to figure out how to make my comprehension go up, what parts of the speed reading class worked and why, and what parts didn't, and how to improve all of it. See, the most critical aspect of speed reading is not the reading or the speed, it's the comprehension. And any course worth your money and time needs to focus on the comprehension and thinking skills. The critical juncture that made me realize what speed reading courses were missing happened, of course, when I was speed reading. I sat down to read, and I couldn't. So I paused, took a breath, listened to some jazz that I put on because that was supposed to help with my brain waves. Specifically, I put on Gershwin, and I couldn't read anything. I realized after thinking about it, paying attention to what my brain was actually doing, that my brain was playing the Tom and Jerry cartoons that went with the music. If you didn't know, Tom and Jerry was a popular and super violent cartoon that I watched religiously as a child. So instead of making the visualizations and mental constructs of what I was reading, my brain watched Tom get his butt kicked or smacked around in sync with the music. Then I turned the music off and had perfect comprehension again. That's when I started reading more about subjective experience, the brain, and the mind, and unpacking all that I learned just for you. You see, my course Instant Understanding doesn't talk much about what to do with your eyes or note-taking. My course discusses how your brain turns visual, auditory, and kinesthetic information into experience and comprehension using your spatial, temporal, and motor cortexes in your occipital, temporal, and parietal lobes. My course will give you a precise definition of learning and comprehension and memory. and we will delve systematically